Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily News. I'm Nicholas Richardson. The agreement for the purchase of more K2 tanks and the situation in Ukraine were among the main topics of conversation between the presidents of Poland and South Korea. Polish President Andrzej Duda also spoke about the threat posed by close relations between North Korea and Russia, while the Korean president condemned Pyongyang for its illegal military cooperation with Moscow. The meeting between the two leaders in Seoul was observed.
Polish President Andrzej Duda and his wife were welcomed by the North Korean presidential couple. The anthems of both countries were played, and then the two delegations went to the presidential palace to discuss cooperation in the fields of security, energy, and the possibility of cooperation also in agriculture. The most important topic, of course, was the provision of military equipment to Poland. President Andrzej Duda said that Polish soldiers already have at their disposal some 70 K2 tanks, about 60 rocket launchers, and almost 100 cannon howitzers. But later this year, another agreement may be signed. The two sides have decided to actively promote successful defense industry cooperation, including a second executive contract for another 180 K2 tanks. We hope that all negotiations on this topic will result in the signing of contracts later this year. The defense weapons produced by South Korean companies will be connected with what we call the Polonization of the equipment, which is produced for the Polish army by the Korean companies, and we hope this Polonization will be at least partially taking place in Poland. The topic of the war in Ukraine was also raised during the meeting. A few days ago, South Korean intelligence reported that North Korea had sent several thousand of its soldiers to Russia to fight on the Ukrainian front after training. In connection with this, I asked the South Korean president during a press conference whether he intended to send modern military equipment and his soldiers to Ukraine.
우크라이나에 대한 지원은
So far, we have supported Ukraine both politically and in a humanitarian way. As a rule, we don't send anyone weapons of direct destruction, but this may change. If the information on North Korean uniforms is confirmed, we will have to react more flexibly. Other topics discussed by the two presidents included energy, nuclear power, and cooperation in the context of higher technology and agriculture. President Andrzej Duda said he hopes that Polish farmers will soon have more opportunities and easier ways to send their exports to South Korea. We would also like to see the availability on the Korean market for Polish food to expand. We are very keen on this. We are one of the largest food producers in the European Union. We produce food of excellent quality in Poland. We would also like consumers here in Korea to be able to use this food on a larger scale than before. President Andrzej Duda is flying out of Seoul today, but the Polish delegation is not yet leaving South Korea, for the reason that it is heading to Busan in southern South Korea. Tank manufacturing factories are located there, and the arms industry is based there. The president will be discussing the possibility of further cooperation and further supply of modern equipment for the Polish army. From Seoul, Rafał Stańczyk, Republika.
At least 3,000 North Korean soldiers are now in training in Russian training facilities. This is the information provided by US intelligence services, which confirms recent media reports. Their use in the war in Ukraine is very likely. According to some analysts, they can serve directly as cannon fodder on the front lines. Such recordings have been appearing on social media for several days. They have been analyzed by specialists, including at the Pentagon. The conclusions are clear.
We assess that between early to mid-October, North Korea moved at least 3,000 soldiers into eastern Russia. We assess that these soldiers traveled by ship from the Wonsan area in North Korea to Vladivostok, Russia. These soldiers then traveled onward to multiple Russian military training sites in eastern Russia, where they are currently undergoing training.
Pyongyang's movements are known to be closely monitored by Seoul. South Korean intelligence clearly indicates that the North's recruits are preparing actively to participate in the war in Ukraine. The Russian military is recruiting a large number of Korean speakers, and we have confirmed the fact that it is training North Korean soldiers in the use of military equipment, including special training on how to operate drones. According to experts, the fate of these North Korean soldiers is a foregone conclusion. They have neither the knowledge nor the skills that would make them valuable to Moscow.
Te wojska, które trafią na front.
Those Korean troops that make it to the front will be treated primarily as cannon fodder, and for the time being, we are talking about a relatively small number of them. On the other hand, according to Western leaders, this shows how difficult it is for the Russian army to seek recruits outside Russia.
We're seeing an act of desperation from Russia, and its allies are not too many around this world. It relies on Iranian weapons, it relies on North Korean soldiers. How much worse can it get?
It could be much worse. After all, Russia has pledged its full support to North Korea in the event of a war on the peninsula. Pyongyang has made the same promise to Russia. These are nothing but a mutual security guarantee.
Kim eskaluje.
Kim is escalating in the hope that this will be recognized by China, that it will draw and force the Americans into the area, and it guarantees that he will become an actor who can switch between cooperation with China and Russia. Direct Korean involvement in the war could cause the axes of escalation in both the Pacific and Europe to begin to intersect. Moscow's building of a bloc of allied countries is beginning to resemble the alliances formed by the belligerents in the 1930s. Opportunity or threat? There are many unknowns and even more controversy surrounding artificial intelligence. While it should support humans in their work, it may end up taking it away from them. Its development will probably not bypass any industry. A storm was caused by its appearance on one of Krakow's radio stations, where listeners could listen to a conversation created by artificial intelligence between a non-existent journalist, Emilia, and the generated voice of our late Nobel Prize winner, Wisława Szymborska.
Dzień dobry, drodzy słuchacze.
A new program has taken a slot on the radio, created entirely by artificial intelligence. It has 3 hosts, all created by AI. They are Emilia, Jakub, and Alex. The topics covered by the virtual hosts include social issues, culture, and fashion. This is unfair to the listeners because radio is a special medium. It carries emotions, an almost personal contact with the speaker. An AI-generated interview with the late poet Wisława Szymborska caused a huge controversy. What are your thoughts on Korean literature? Oh, dear Emilia, I am happy to talk to you. Instead of real presenters, bots are used to regurgitate some formulas written by artificial intelligence, leading to curious incidents such as imitating Wisława Szymborska's voice and pretending to interview the late Nobel laureate. The launch of the new program has sparked outrage among former broadcast journalists. We cannot remain silent, and I certainly have no intention of remaining silent. That's why I'm asking all of you for your support and help in sounding the alarm through all possible channels, wherever you can. Adhering to journalistic ethics can also be a challenge. We are talking about content that artificial intelligence will not always be able to verify. Can AI really replace experienced journalists? Artificial intelligence in the media is a fraud because at the end of the day, it's a machine. It can break down and instead of Earth Day, say earthquake or something similar. What the consequences of that would be, we all know. We cannot allow such audience manipulation. Radio station authorities argue that the introduction of the new technology is a radio experiment. One of the purposes of public media is to introduce new technologies, to experiment them, of course in an appropriate and controlled way. All this is terrible. It has nothing to do with the digital revolution. It just shows that the people who got there treat the public media as their own private fiefdom. This is not the right direction. It's one thing to create a steam engine or a device that works for somebody, and it's another thing to show somebody's artificial face, somebody's voice. This raises concerns about responsibility, because artificial intelligence should support humans and be for humans, not against them.
The Czech Flying Bulls aerobatics team made aviation history at the start of the month. They have successfully performed a world-first inverted group loop through Malá Bridge, Europe's highest railway bridge located some 20 kilometers north of the Montenegrin capital, Podgorica.
The 4-team squad of Stanisław Tejka, Jan Twierdik, Jan Rudzinski, and Martin Spacek flew in diamond formation executing an inverted group loop by flying upside down through the steep canyon beneath the structure. Fighting negative G-force and within a confined environment, the team conquered the 1,600 feet or about 500-meter long bridge, which also stands at a height of 139 meters, with a clearance of 198 meters. The bridge is supported by massive concrete pillars, which, according to the team, presented both psychological and technical challenges. The location also offered the ultimate challenge. If something went wrong, there was nowhere to make an emergency landing.
That's the news. Thank you for watching, and from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.